Steam rose from the scorching asphalt as a $500,000 black Bentley Mulsanne sat broken down on the edge of a desert highway. Its hood lifted like a gaping mouth. Victoria Sterling, heiress to a $16 billion pharmaceutical empire, paced beside it. In exasperation, frantically gesturing into her platinum-encrusted cell phone. "I don't care if you have to bring a mechanic in by helicopter. I have a board meeting in 2 hours," she snapped, unaware the call had been dead for nearly 20 minutes. Her voice was swallowed by the hot wind, her urgency unheard. That's when a rusty bicycle came to a stop beside the luxury car. A 12-year-old girl named Luna Martinez dismounted, watching the scene quietly. She analyzed the situation not with words, but with intuition and rhythm. Luna had been deaf since birth. Over time, she had developed a remarkable sensitivity to vibrations and patterns perceptions invisible to most. "Girl," Victoria barked, irritation dripping from her voice. "Can't you see I'm busy here?" Luna pointed toward the engine, and then to her own ears, shaking her head. She signed a few gestures with her hands, trying to explain, but Victoria just rolled her eyes. "Great! Now I've got a deaf, mute kid in the middle of nowhere. Go play somewhere else," she added, dismissing her. "This is grown-up business." But Luna didn't leave. Instead, she stepped forward, placed her palm on the car's chassis, and closed her eyes. But with her hands, a flicker of awareness crossed her face. She felt something others couldn't: the erratic pulsing of the engine. A pattern out of sync. Without hesitation, she opened her worn school backpack and pulled out a tiny toolkit. It was a gift from her grandfather, a retired mechanic who had taught her everything he knew. Victoria looked on, stunned, as Luna began. Working, her movements were deliberate and exact, her hands weaving through the complex machinery like a pianist composing a symphony. Hey, get your dirty hands off my car," Victoria shrieked. "You have no idea how much this costs." But it was too late. Luna had already located the problema, loose hose in the cooling system. Something even elite mechanics might have missed without hours of diagnostics. She reconnected it, tightened a few connections, and adjusted a valve. The Bentley's engine came back to life with a smooth, luxurious purr. Victoria was speechless. In less than 15 minutes, this deaf child had fixed what her wealth and resources could not. "How did you?" she began, but trailed off. Something had caught her eye. Hanging from Luna's neck was a small gold medallion. Victoria's face turned pale. She recognized it immediately. It was identical to the ones her company had handed out to. Decades ago, during a so-called preventive vaccine campaign in impoverished neighborhoods, a program she knew had been canceled after it was discovered to cause permanent hearing loss in children. Children just like Luna gave a shy wave and pedaled away on her bike, her smile full of innocence. But Victoria remained frozen. Her past, the one she thought she had buried with settlements and silence, had just returned, wearing grease-stained sleeves and carrying a wrench. 3 days later, Victoria sat in her glass-walled office on the 52nd floor of Sterling Pharmaceuticals. Still haunted by the medallion, she opened a locked drawer and pulled out the confidential files of Project Silenced, the very program that had targeted marginalized communities under the guise of free medical care. Vaccinations that had left 73 children permanently deaf. The case had been buried under hush money and threats. But now, one of those children had resurfaced. Miss Sterling, her assistant, said, entering softly, "We've located the girl. Luna Martinez, 12 years old. Lives with her grandparents in the Riverside community, about 25 miles away." Victoria's stomach turned. Riverside. That was the epicenter of the trial program, the place where it all began. "I want you to hire private investigators," she ordered quietly. "Find out everything about this family. How does a deaf girl fix a Bentley engine better than my best technicians?" Back in Riverside, Luna returned home after school. Her grandparents, Carmen and Roberto Martinez, welcomed her with open arms and fluent sign language. "How was your day, my star?" Carmen asked, fingers dancing gently. "A rich lady came to school," Luna signed, her brows furrowed. "She said she wanted to give me a scholarship to a special school, but something felt wrong." Roberto, hunched over an old radio at the kitchen table, froze mid-tweak. "What did she look like?" he asked. "Blonde, fancy clothes, drove a big black car." Said she heard I was good with machines. Luna's eyes drifted to her grandmother's necklace, the same medallion she wore. Roberto's hands clenched 20 years ago. Men in suits had offered free flu vaccines to their community. 3 months later, dozens of children, including Lunabeeg, and losing their hearing. Genetic coincidence. But the truth had been buried under legal threats and deceit. Carmen had kept Luna's medallion as a bitter reminder. Now it was the key that connected the past to the present. Did she mention her company? Roberto asked. Sterling. Something Sterling Academy, maybe? Roberto felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Sterling, pharmaceuticals, the same name, etched into the internal memos and buried documents he had spent decades collecting. The very company responsible for Luna's hearing loss. That night, Victoria assembled 3 private investigators in her office. I want every detail about the Martinez family, medical history, financial background, legal vulnerabilities, and most of all did they retain any records from their child's treatment. Miss Sterling, one of the investigators asked. Victoria's stare was cold, because some abilities aren't accidents, and if that girl's family starts asking questions, it could cost us everything. What Victoria didn't know was that Roberto had never stopped asking questions. His attic was a shoebox filled with evidence, photographs, testimonies, medical records, and even samples of the experimental compound he had salvaged from the discarded vials behind the community center. While Luna slept peacefully, unaware of the storm approaching, her grandfather opened that box for the first time in years. He pulled out a faded photo Luna at age 3, smiling, still able to hear her grandmother's lullaby. It was the last photo of her listening. Every attempt Victoria made to silence the Martinez family only added fuel to the fire, and what she didn't realize was that she was writing her own downfall line by line with every move she made.